What's good, gamers? This is your boy Stonky Kong 64, and we are back with another video. Today's video is my build of the Necrobloom. If you don't know what the Necrobloom is, the Necrobloom is a 4-mana 2/7 legendary creature plant with landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 0/1 green plant token. If you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token instead. And here's my favorite part of this card. Land cards in your graveyard have Dredge too. Now, this is definitely a new commander that came out in the Modern Horizons 3, which drops today. So if you're lucky enough to pick up this bad boy, stick around and I'll show you my little secret tech decks and how I built it, and so how you can show up to your game nights and stun on all your friends. All right, let's get into it. All right, the things I'm looking to take advantage of. I want to take advantage of the landfall triggers. I want to specifically make zombies instead of plants, even though there are cards that can like help you buff plants. I'll get into that when you see the deck list. But I want to have different lands, and I want to take advantage of those landfall triggers. Now, the lands are subjective. I try to add lands with cool abilities, lands that I can abuse over and over again, and obviously a bunch of lands with different names so I can, make the zombies. So here's the list of lands. Now I'm just going to highlight some of the lands and like my reasoning of why I put it in the deck. Now, there's some of the lands that, don't need explaining. You'll see them, be like, yeah, that makes sense. But some of them, I'm going to go ahead and explain a little bit. Like one, we have the flagstones of Charkir. Now, this land right here is really good because you're going to be constantly sacrificing lands. So when you sacrifice that one, you tutor your library for any planes to the battlefield tap. So that includes shock lands and other like little tricky lands that have that typing that might not be a traditional planes, but you can still tutor for it. So honestly, I think that's a very good land, a very underrated land in a deck like this. Of course, we have heavy hitters like Phyrexian Tower. We're going to be making tokens, so we'll have plenty of things to sacrifice. We have the channel lands. We can constantly reuse those because our lands have dredge too. So we can constantly channel them, channel them, channel them, dredge it, dredge it, dredge it, and get all that back. Unfortunately, I don't own the green one, which is going to be honorable mentions at the end of the video. But the channel lands are really good. I'm also doing a lot of land destruction in the deck too. So I have your Dust Bowl and your Strip Mine. I want to constantly hit your lands too. Like that's part of the win conditions. Thespian Stage. Thespian Stage can copy any of your lands, any land on the battlefield. So it could definitely come in handy. Copy the Lotus Field. Shit, have 2 Dust Bowls, have 2 Strip Mines. Why fucking not? And of course, we have Tutor lands. We have Fable Passage, and we have Flooded Strands. So definitely good lands, good utility lands. We have good typing in lands. We have forest plains, plains, forest, swamps, triomes, things like that that are easily tutorable and with different names. I know we only have the 3 basics of each, but I think that'll be fine. I wouldn't worry too much about that. Um, but your general lands are going to be really good with the lands that I personally have, and you'll get a lot of utility out of them and reusability out of them the way I built the deck. Now I'm gonna go over to the land ramp side. I'm not gonna spend too much time talking about the mana ramp part of it. The mana ramp is pretty self-explanatory. The way I build my decks, I try to do 50 lands in ramp and 50 other cards. So 50% of my deck is always lands and ramp, and I'm usually 35 hard lands, 15 ramp. That's usually like my ratio. So I tried to put in ramp cards like your Harrows and Rolling Regrowths because I'm sacrificing the lands, so I can just replay those from the graveyard or dredge those out from the graveyard. And then I have stuff like Far Seek and Three Visits that give me like a specific type of land, so like forest, swamps, so I can go grab triomes and things like that. All right, now we're gonna go into the 50. Well, I guess 49 counting the commander, but now we're gonna go into the 50 part of the cards. First, let me get this out the way. I know I have Dark Depths in the 50 and not with the lands and ramp. That's because I don't necessarily consider that a land. It doesn't tap for mana, so I don't want to include that into the mana curve. So for me, that's a card part of the 50. I will never consider that a land and put that in with the lands because then I'm just selling myself short. But obviously, I know most of you, once you saw Thespian stage, you're like, oh yeah, Dark Depths. It's probably in here. If not, he's bad at this game. But I'm not that bad at this game. I do have Dark Depths in here. That's another part of the Wink edition, the 2020 Flying Indestructible. Other than like swords and exiling it, it's something that's hard to get rid of. But you're constantly dredging your lands from your graveyard, so you're going to get it back. If they exile your Merit Liege, boom, dredge both lands back. You have another shot at it. So yeah, that's really solid. The Zoran Orb that can help you once, let's say, you don't have any more lands in your hand or something like that. You want to get landfall triggers, sacrifice lands. And then you have cards like Crucible of Worlds, Conduit of Worlds, Ancient Green Warden, to so I can just like play lands from my graveyard, and then I could just constantly do that to get extra landfall triggers. You have the Stinkweed Imp and the Life of the Loam. You have that for more dredge. The name of the game is getting things in your graveyard so you can get those things back. Obviously, there's a bunch of things to get things back other than like the land dredging. Um, we have the Esper Sentinel, Phyrexian Arena, things for drawing. And now we have the Growing Rights of Itlamog. Uh, it comes in, it turns into a land, it gives you a different land name. A Gaia's Cradle is always huge, so that needs to go without saying. We have a new card, Insidious Roots. Tokens are cryptolith right for tokens, and you make plants, which your commander makes plants. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff. Your commander is not the only landfall abilities you want to like abuse. We have like Obnixilis, Rampaging Bailiffs, Avenger Zendikar, something else that makes plants that has landfall. We want extra land drops, so we have the Zuzas. We have different the Wayward Swordtooth. These different cards for like extra land drops. Um, yeah, I know you guys saw paid attention to the very last three cards. Those are the Bazinga cards. They honestly have no room in the deck, but since I'm gonna have so much mana, I just have those in there because I'm gonna easily be able to cast them. And once they're on the battlefield, they're a problem. Like, and people are gonna want to deal with them because they're disgusting fucking cards. Elish Norn, Vorniclex, and Shieldred. Fucking ridiculous. So yeah, we got good stuff in the deck. We're abusing landfalls. We're sacrificing lands. We're putting stuff into the graveyard. We're getting it back. We're just constantly like turning over lands, turning over lands, and trying to get benefit out of that. Um, it seems like a fun build. I can't wait to play with my play group. We'll probably play after this video releases. We'll probably get the game in. Couple of honorable mentions for this deck. We have Bazenju, who endures. Literally the best channel land. That's why it's $40. I don't own a copy, I don't really want to purchase a copy. Hopefully, I can trade for one soon. Aura shards. The only reason why aura shards isn't in my deck is because I only have one copy, and I don't want to take it from the deck that it's in. Um, there's another card. I'm spacing on the name, but the name of the card is about to be on the screen. But it turns all of your lands on the battlefield and in your library to basics, which means you can fucking tutor a Phyrexian Tower and a Fable Passage with a Cultivate. That card is huge. That's a card that I'm gonna get for the deck very, very soon. Um, and last but not least, the land that's pretty much the commander, Field of the Dead. It does the same thing that the commander does, minus the plants. So those are some honorable mentions. It's a pretty fun build. You can do a lot of different things with it. You can build it aristocraty, stompy. I went for more of a stompy and just like landfall obliteration type shit and land destruction. That's the route I went. There's really no rules for it. I'm interested to know your builds. Yeah, so like, subscribe. Tell me how shitty the deck is. Tell me how shitty the video is. I don't really care, you know. But just let me know. If you want to check out my pre-release opening pack, um, that is on my channel. Go ahead and stay tuned because I'm opening my box as soon as I get it. Hopefully, it gets in the mail today or tomorrow, and then I can make a video of opening that box. That's about it. Peace.
Sitting in my room thinking, is it almost over? Will I die young or